The DC-10 rollout ceremony was attended by top company officials, honored guests, and notable speakers such as Vice President Agnew, Governor Reagan, Undersecretary of Transportation Beggs, and others. Traditionally, a tug tows a major new model airplane for its rollout debut, but the self-powered DC-10 rolled out with engines operating quieter than the bagpiping Scottish band preceding it. The flight crew then proved out the DC-10's ground performance on the runways at Long Beach Airport. Taxi runs included a low-speed run at 60 knots. 80-knot runs involving all engines reversed with moderate braking. A high-speed run at 100 knots. And a run at 100 knots with full flaps down landing configuration. With taxi runs completed satisfactorily and with all systems go, the long-awaited event of the first flight was moved up to the 29th of August, 1970, 2.5 weeks ahead of schedule. At 9 a.m., DC-10 project pilot Cliff Stout and crew boarded Ship 1 and initiated pre-flight checks. At 10 o'clock sharp, DC-10 sped down runway 12 for takeoff. Liftoff occurred at 150 knots. During the initial climb out at 180 knots, the crew checked out the flight controls and evaluated the aircraft's handling characteristics, while the pilot kept up radio chatter with flight controller via the Blue Ridge station. At 10,000 feet above Catalina Island, the aircraft was leveled off and entered a holding pattern, maintaining a speed of 200 knots. The landing gear flap and slat actuations were observed and evaluated. Then the pilot headed the aircraft towards Edwards Air Force Base, 75 air miles north of Long Beach Airport. Climbing to 20,000 feet, the DC-10 leveled off and kept its cruising speed at 300 knots as planned. Flight control evaluation was conducted, and engine operating characteristics were observed. Subsequently, the DC-10 was climbed to 30,000 feet. The DC-10 was descended to 15,000 feet, where approach to stall checks were accomplished. Minimum speed during these checks was 120% of the predicted stall speed. The aircraft exhibited excellent control throughout these tests. Nearing Edwards Air Force Base, the DC-10 made a low-altitude flyby just prior to the landing. The first flight was airborne 3 hours, 25 minutes and consumed 52,000 pounds of fuel. 23 additional flight tests were in order for DC-10 Ship 1 during September, operating in and out of Edwards Air Force Base. The flights consisted of maneuvering stability, stall characteristics, trailing cone optimization, and static longitudinal stability. Airspeed system calibration, lateral control during rolls, flutter vane system evaluation, in-flight center engine start, landing gear freefall, flap buffet evaluation, fuel transfer check, and engine suction feed. air-driven generator deployment, and anti-skid braking. On September 26, DC-10 Ship 1 returned to Long Beach Airport after logging over 52 hours of flight time. On October 2nd, it flew to Yuma and a reception by 8,000 people at the McDonnell Douglas facility at Yuma Airport. There it began phase 2 of its flight development. Additional weeks of strenuous testing. On the 24th of October, DC-10 number 3 made its first flight, the second DC-10 to enter the flight development program. On this first flight, DC-10 number 3 flew to Yuma and landed, then returned to Long Beach Airport the same day. But the DC-10 has already won the hearts of the crew since its memorable first flight. They have judged it the most airworthy, responsive, efficient, and economical DC airplane yet.
I'm John Bresendine, General Manager of the DC-10 program. The first 4 months of flight testing the DC-10 have been most gratifying. It's a good flying machine, and the reliability and maintenance characteristics of the airplane have enabled us to make good progress, a good rate of flying. The advanced data system has also performed well, and these, coupled with excellent engine performance, have provided a very satisfactory rate of flying for the early stages of the program. The DC-10 has been flown throughout its design flight envelope of 42,000 feet maximum altitude, 0.95 Mach number at high altitudes, and the design maximum airspeed of 437 knots at low altitude. In December, DC-10 number 4 joined the test fleet, making its first flight on December 23rd. At the end of the year, the test fleet had accumulated 250 flight hours, with over 180 hours being accumulated on DC-10 number 1. At this point, we're quite optimistic that the DC-10 will live up to its full expectations.